Today I shall be discussing a game that wanted XQC playing it to having nobody playing it. Today we should be looking over what happened to Outpost Zero, a game that had truly aimed to compete with the biggest survival multiplayer game, Rust. Odds are you've generally never heard of Outpost Zero, which is completely understandable. It was actually tough to find any information on this game, as there's a place in Subnautica called Outpost Zero and that's all you get when you look it up. But anyway, Outpost Zero is made by Symmetric Games. It's their first and only ever game. So you're probably wondering, how did I find out about this game? And it was actually true XQC as mentioned earlier. The one and only time I've ever watched the guy was when he was playing Outpost Zero. And I thought to myself, hey, this doesn't look bad, and I bought it. The game was in early access at the time that I bought it. It was published by Tiny Build Games. You likely know them as the guys behind Hello Neighbor. The game initially launched in July 2018, with its trailer getting 200,000 views. It was quite popular for its launch. But why is this, you may ask? Well, it's due to the fact that No Man's Sky was such a disappointment at launch. The game's art style is very much within the same realm as No Man's Sky, and looked to capture the audience that have been left underwhelmed by the game despite having zero elements that are in No Man's Sky. Some of the original comments on the trailer were, "This game looks great, it's like No Man's Sky but decent. The AI factor is really unique and looks like it's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see what else this game has to offer. Looks like a No Man's Sky mod." Serious? Is No Man's Sky a real survival and multiplayer? Just love it. The game originally launched as just a single player game. You'd start off by crashing from an escape pod into some planet. The planet is not procedurally generated or anything, it's handcrafted. You start off with a robot companion who can build things and do tasks for you, and is essential to the video game. I actually boot up the game to get footage, and my drone spawned within a big rock, and couldn't get out, so I couldn't progress at all, so I just had to quit, and now you're looking at someone else's footage. The goal is to survive. I know, shock horror, a survival game is about surviving. And upgrading your base to be more efficient and automated. There are threats in this game which come in the form of space pirates, who will just randomly land on the planet and start shooting at you. They're the lamest enemies you can have, as they don't do much other than just shoot at you, and they're really stupid AI. Single player on its own was quite boring and bland. You can't get a spacecraft and explore space or anything. You're stuck to this one planet to do long and tedious resource collections just to make a robot who'll make your life a little bit easier. The game kept getting regular updates that added new content and fixed bugs with every update. However, everything changed when they added the multiplayer support to the game. The direction of the game completely changed with this update. The game was now more akin to Rust, and where you'd be able to raid other people's bases and defend your own. Guns became a more central piece of gameplay, and C4 was added to help you raid other bases. This sprung new life into the game, and was also released a little before the game went out of early access. People began regularly playing the multiplayer, and the game had a 10 times increase in player count. However, the game at its very core still felt insanely bland. Animals had next to no personality, as they'd either kill you or not, and the whole process of building just felt pointless and too tedious to be worth it. The player base shrunk below the pre-multiplayer update within a year, so the game was in a worse place than it previously was within a year. This was largely due to support for the game falling off a cliff post-launch. Since July 2019, the day of its official 1.0 launch, the last update was in December 2019. That is just a few months difference. There'd be 7 little small bug fix updates within this time. This would be fine if the game was actually finished. There's an item that experienced gamers would likely recognize called Unobtainium. This is generally a resource that developers use when they're unsure of what a resource should be or how to obtain the item. This resource is then used to craft other items that the developer is potentially testing. It has the name Unobtainium because it is unobtainable. There is no way in game of gaining this resource. However, in the final release of the game, some items still required this resource. Many people flooded the comments on community posts, declaring their thoughts for the game that it didn't feel finished at all and it needed a lot more work. And the main complaint being about this unobtainium aspect of the game. However, the community that still loves this game and sees the potential can rest now. I did some digging into the company, and it seems like it had 2 people working within it. One of these people is an anonymous co-founder, and the other is the co-founder Dan
Nicklights.
The latter has moved on to work at Studio 369, the company behind World of Mechs and Rune 2, both very average games. Now, why would he abandon the game? He likely left due to it not being a future-proof source of income, as the game was dying despite updates, and it was best to move to a more stable job. This left me and other gamers who paid for the game and had a bright future to be immensely disappointed. If you enjoyed this video, subscribing and liking will go a long way. If you wish for me to talk about other video games, failures, or any stories like that you may want to share yourself, leave them down below in the comments and I'll talk about them. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys. Goodbye.